Chapter 61. You are listening at Mtlnovel.audio. Over the next few days, Blackstone Town's biggest weapons shop was a hive of activity. Apprentices worked around the clock, fueling local whispers about what kind of magical weapon they were crafting. Finished iron swords were delivered daily to a small courtyard. For 5 days straight, everyone pulled overtime, tapped into existing stock, and finally, they filled the massive order of 10,000 fine iron swords. Reputation intact. Inside the shop, curiosity burned. What was this mysterious buyer doing with so many swords? He couldn't be moving them. Was he arming an army? Even so, these swords weren't quite up to military standards. Finally, someone sneaked into the courtyard for a peek. The sight inside was shocking. Fine iron swords were scattered everywhere, each subtly altered from their original state. Their shine was gone, the blades dull, as if aged rapidly. The mysterious buyer was nowhere to be found. Meanwhile, Shaoyang was across town in the bustling district of markets, inns, and brothels, a haven for Jianhu wanderers. Before Gu Shaoyang were 3 swords gleaming with a cool light. He held them up, carefully lifting a strand of hair and laying it across each blade. Silently, the hair parted into 3 pieces, the blades sliced through without resistance, proving their deadly sharpness. Gu Shaoyang's face showed satisfaction. He'd burned through 10,000 ordinary fine iron swords to get these 3. The central sword was modeled after the standard Qingyun sect inner disciple longsword, forged by constantly blending sharpness and toughness. Its quality rivaled a high-grade human-level treasure, surpassing it in resilience and edge. It lacked, however, the skill-boosting effect of a typical treasure. Gu Shaoyang named it Han Feng. Initially, he'd planned to fuse all 10,000 swords into Han Feng, but he hit a wall after 4,000. Apparently, there was a limit. That's when he forged the other 2 swords. While a bit less potent, they still measured up to middle-grade human-level treasures. A high-grade human-level treasure could fetch around 40 high-grade Yuan Stones. Gu Shaoyang had made one for less than 40 mid-grade Yuan Stones. Han Feng would be his personal weapon. The 2 extras? He'd sell them. He was sure to have a steady income from Yuan Stones. It was a brilliant way to get rich. In high spirits, Gu Shaoyang put the swords in his spiritual storage ring and left his rented-in room. It was the 6th day since he'd arrived in Blackstone Town. Time to finish his mission. Upstairs in Shaoyang building, a disheveled man in black with graying hair and a pale face was feasting on food and wine. Footsteps echoed on the stairs. A handsome young man in purple robes approached the man, and said coldly, "Are you Ghost Owl of the Nanling Double Eagles?" The man slowly looked up, his bloodshot eyes glinting with madness and cruelty. "Who wants to know?" That confirmed it. The news caused a stir upstairs. Everyone stepped back quickly. The Nanling Double Eagles. The monsters who burn, kill, and loot. They massacred the entire Yi family, 37 members, and killed many Jiyuan masters who went after them. They're hiding here. The Nanling Double Eagles were infamous for their brutality, inspiring fear everywhere, but the handsome young man didn't flinch. He grinned. "It's him. Remember this, the one taking your life today is Guo Xiaotian, a disciple of the Dacian Kingdom's Yuan sect." He drew his sword, unleashing a wave of power that marked him as a Jiyuan realm cultivator. The onlookers whispered. "He can't be older than 20, but he's already reached the mid-Jiyuan stage. Incredible. Yuan sect. Guo Xiaotian must be one of their top talents. Ghost Owl's only mid-Jiyuan. He's outmatched this time." The praise only fueled the handsome young man's confidence. His sword flashed with more ferocity. "Boundless falling flowers," he roared, unleashing thousands of sword strikes, each aimed at a vital spot on Guo Xiao's body. But Guo Xiao didn't even try to dodge. His sinister face twisted, and he lunged forward, his fingers tipped with metal claws. With a few swift strikes, he shattered the handsome young man's sword. Late Yuan stage. Impossible. The handsome young man's face turned pale. He stumbled backward. Ghost Owl sneered, his claws flashing out and grabbing the young man's throat. "I hate arrogant sect kids like you. Think you're geniuses. I like drinking from the skulls of geniuses." The crowd gasped. Chapter 62. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 62. Gua Xiaotian was caught totally off guard when Gua Xiao suddenly exploded with power. Before he could react, Gua Xiao had his hand clamped on his throat. He was about to be strangled to death, and blood sprayed everywhere. Just then, a long sword flashed out from the side, aimed right at Gua Xiao. Gua Xiao's face darkened. "You're asking for it," he snarled. He reached out with his left hand to grab the sword, trying to trap it, but the long sword was as slippery as an eel. It danced around Gua Xiao's claw, then flicked out and sliced right across his wrist where he held Gua Xiaotian. A scream ripped through the air, a bloodied hand hit the ground. Gua Xiao stumbled back, clutching his spurting wrist, and glared at the newcomer with pure hatred. Cough. Gua Xiaotian, released from the death grip, crumpled to the ground, gasping for air. Finally able to breathe, he noticed someone standing beside him. A man in blue, slender and strikingly handsome, held a sword with casual grace. Ha! Gua Xiaotian stared, dumbfounded by this sudden appearance. Everyone else was equally stunned, their faces a mix of confusion and awe. The newcomer's looks and bearing were eerily similar to Gua Xiaotian's. There was even a strange sense of familiarity about him. Clearly a sect disciple, this man outshone Gua Xiaotian in appearance, strength, and poise. Gua Xiaotian felt like a common pheasant with gaudy feathers being looked down on by a phoenix perched high in a sycamore tree. They might look similar, but the difference was absolute. A wave of shame washed over him. Brought some backup, huh? Well. Gua Xiao glared at the handsome young man with venomous eyes. I'll use your hearts, livers, and heads for a drinking cup. With a howl, he transformed into a black blur, lunging forward. Gua Xiaotian's eyes widened. Watch out! He yelled without thinking. He scrambled for his dropped sword, desperate to help. He remembered that the handsome young man was also in the Juyuan mid-stage, just like him. If they worked together, maybe, just maybe, they could take down Gua Xiao. A flicker of hope ignited within Gua Xiaotian, but the moment his fingers closed around the hilt, a chorus of gasps erupted around him. He looked up, and his jaw dropped. The handsome young man fought with effortless ease. Despite being only in the mid-stage of Juyuan, his moves were infused with a power that rivaled Gua Xiao's. His swordsmanship was dazzling, so precise and fluid that he had Gua Xiao staggering back in just a few strikes. It was a total mismatch. They weren't even in the same league. Gua Xiaotian blinked, speechless. After a long pause, he mumbled, "So strong." The onlookers were equally amazed. Now that's how a sect genius fights. Mid-stage Jiyuan crushing late stage. I haven't seen anything like it. Compared to him, Gua Xiaotian from Yuhengzong is just a pretty face with no substance. Gua Xiaotian's face burned red. He wanted to disappear into the earth. Bang, star. Gu Shaoyang's sword sent Gua Xiao flying. Bruised and battered, he was a pathetic mess. All right. Gu Shaoyang lowered his sword, pointing it at Gua Xiao. Where's the vulture? Tell me, and you won't be alone in hell. Gua Xiao cackled, his cold gaze flitting between Gu Shaoyang and Gua Xiaotian. Want to know where the vulture is? Fine, I'll tell you right now. He spun around, smashed through the wall of Zuexiang Tower, and bolted. Humph. Gu Shaoyang scoffed and vanished in a blur. Gua Xiaotian snapped out of his stupor, hesitated, then took off after him. The crowd, eager for more excitement, surged out of the restaurant too. Damn it, damn it. Clutching his mangled wrist, Gua Xiao poured everything he had into running, causing chaos in the streets. How can that guy be so strong? His face twisted with hatred and fear. He risked a glance back. To his horror, no matter how fast he ran, the blue-robed figure was always there, following at a leisurely pace. The handsome young man who'd sliced off his hand was toying with him, like a cat playing with a mouse. The image haunted him like a nightmare. He ran for his life, the deadly intent behind him growing closer with every step. Despair began to creep into his eyes. Suddenly, his face lit up with elation. Ha! You bastard! Took you long enough. I almost got myself killed. A tall, gaunt man with a menacing face was approaching. It was the other half of the Nanling double eagles, the Nanling vulture. The vulture was even stronger than Gui Shao. Seeing him, Gui Shao felt a surge of relief. He turned and jeered at the blue-robed figure. "Boy, wanna know where the vulture is? Come and get it." That the Nanling double eagles had arrived. Guo Xiaotian and the crowd in the street gasped. No matter how good the young man was, he couldn't possibly take on both of them. He was done for, but the blue-robed man didn't slow down. He kept walking right toward Gui Shao. Guo Xiaotian panicked. "Don't be reckless," he shouted. Then, a blinding flash of sword light filled everyone's eyes. Dear readers, please show some support with flowers and votes. Thank you. Chapter 63. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Everyone saw it happen. Gu Shaoyang vanished and reappeared less than 5 yards from the ghost owl. Like he teleported, he was already drawing his sword as he moved. Clang! That the air shimmered with sword light. The ghost owl was still laughing like a maniac. Then his grin froze, and the vulture, who'd been strolling up behind him, looked like he'd seen a ghost. Swish! The sword light sliced through the ghost owl, and he was instantly split in two like a sack of potatoes, blood everywhere. Gu Shaoyang didn't even glance at the remains, like he knew it was coming. He was already locking eyes with the vulture. The sword flashed again. Humph! With a grunt, the vulture turned tail and fled faster than a bat out of hell, leaving only a smear of blood to show he'd even been there. Gu Shaoyang glared in the direction the vulture had run, his eyebrows twitching. He frowned, slowly sheathed his sword, clearly annoyed he'd let him get away. The other fighters and Guo Xiaotian were gobsmacked. They stood there, mouths gaping, totally speechless. The Nanling duo, 2 big shots in the late Yuan stage, one turned into chum, the other wounded and running for his life, all thanks to a couple of sword strokes from this blue-robed pretty boy. The fighters and Guo Xiaotian all thought the same thing. This ain't just talent, this is off-the-charts talent. Seriously scary. Gu Shaoyang plucked a small gray ring from the ghost owl's corpse, a low-grade spirit storage ring, not something you'd usually see on a nobody like this, which made Gu Shaoyang even more interested in what else he had stashed. Seeing the others staring at him in awe as he looted the body, Guo Xiaotian finally worked up the nerve to say something. Hey, I'm Guo Xiaotian, an inner disciple of the Yuheng sect. Guo Xiaotian bowed, but then realized Gu Shaoyang wasn't even looking at him, too busy messing with the storage ring. 83 high-grade spirit stones, 40 medium-grade, and over 300 low-grade, plus a bunch of paper money and gold, women's lingerie, and books. Gu Shaoyang's eyes lit up, and he grabbed one of the books. 18 Claws of the Ghost Hand, a low-level martial art, nasty and brutal. Gu Shaoyang flipped through it and tossed it back in the ring. Too twisted for him, and not his style anyway. There were also healing potions and stuff. Then, he spotted something glimmering, a half-moon-shaped jade pendant. Unnamed jade pendant, sword intent *56, vitality *23. A flood of sword knowledge rushed into Gu Shaoyang's head. He stared at the jade pendant in his hand, surprised. This little piece of rock actually held sword intent. That was a shocker. The sword tomb key. The exclamation was right next to him. Gu Shaoyang looked up and focused on Guo Xiaotian. Who are you? Gu Shaoyang frowned. Guo Xiaotian stammered, I'm Guo Xiaotian from the Yuheng sect. Thanks for saving me. I didn't catch your name. Gu Shaoyang said coolly, Qingyun sect, Gu Shaoyang. So you're Senior Gu. Guo Xiaotian bowed respectfully. I've heard great things about the Qingyun sect from the Great Yuan Kingdom, and it's an honor to meet you. Gu Shaoyang cut him off. You know what this is? Guo Xiaotian nodded eagerly. It's the sword tomb key. It opens the Brahma sword tomb. I've only ever heard about them. This is the first time I've seen one in person. Who knew the ghost owl had something like this? Brahma sword tomb. Gu Shaoyang repeated the name. Guo Xiaotian hurried on. The Brahma sword tomb is in the Great Zhou Kingdom. It's an ancient relic. The sword tomb opens every 3 years, and key holders from all 9 kingdoms go to explore it. But what? Gu Shaoyang asked, his voice sharp. Gu Xiaotian winced and said quickly, the key you have is only half. You need the other half to make it whole. Half, Gu Shaoyang's eyes narrowed. So, the other half is with the vulture. The vulture got away. And knowing his style, he won't be showing his face anytime soon. This was a problem. Gu Xiaotian, sensing Gu Shaoyang's frustration, jumped in. If you want to hunt down the vulture, I might be able to help. I know a secret tracking method. Gu Shaoyang's eyes lit up. Thanks, Gu. Gu Xiaotian grinned sheepishly. You saved my life. This is the least I can do. Gu Shaoyang grabbed Gu Xiaotian's arm. Stop talking and let's get moving. Gu Xiaotian was speechless. Luckily, Gu Shaoyang had clipped the vulture. Using the blood he'd spilled, Gu Xiaotian led Gu Shaoyang south, into the Dacian kingdom. In a small farmhouse, Gu Shaoyang walked out, his face grim. A family of 6 farmers had lived here. Now, they were all dead inside, butchered. The youngest daughter had even been violated. Damn it, Gu Shaoyang hissed, and a wave of sword energy exploded from him. The jujube tree in the yard silently split in two. Gu Xiaotian was impressed and also a little scared. He took a step forward. We're close. We should catch up to him in a couple of days. Gu Shaoyang nodded curtly. Don't waste any time. We need to get this done. Gu Xiaotian hesitated. Gu Shaoyang frowned. What is it? Gu Xiaotian gave a wry smile. You should know that the vulture's probably hiding in the forest up ahead. That forest is part of the Qianyuan sect's territory. This time of year, the Qianyuan sect and the royal family of Dacian hold a big hunting competition there. If we go barging in now, we'll be targets. Chapter 64. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 64. The demonic mist mountains, they're called that because they're shrouded in fog year-round. 2 groups of people stood facing the mountains that day. Nearly all of one group wore ornate purple and gold robes, and crowns, radiating nobility. They followed a tall, handsome middle-aged man in a dragon robe and elaborate crown. He carried himself with an air of superiority. The other group, dressed entirely in white, watched the robe-clad team intently, their expressions subtly hostile. Most of both groups were teenagers or young adults in their early 20s. The white-clad group was led by an old man with a serene demeanor. The old man approached the imposing middle-aged man with a smile. King Xiaoyao, the spring hunt is about to begin. King Xiaoyao nodded, his expression grave. The spring hunt begins now. My Dacian royal family disciples, heed my command. The old man raised his voice. Qianyuan sect disciples, heed my command. Both the nobles and the white-robed disciples snapped to attention. Enter the demonic mist mountains. Yes. Both teams used their martial arts skills to leap into the mountains like birds, disappearing from sight. Watching them go, the old man sighed. I wonder what will happen this time. How many royal heirs and Qianyuan disciples will perish in these mountains? The annual spring hunt between the Dacian royal family and the Qianyuan sect was meant to test their disciples' martial arts skills. But the young people were often reckless, leading to fatal fights. Plus, the demonic mist mountains were dangerous enough on their own. Every year, the hunt claimed the lives of royals and disciples alike. King Xiaoyao remained impassive. If they can't survive a simple spring hunt, they're not worthy to be Yans. Let them die. The old man shook his head. Ever since Yan Xingtian became king, he'd advocated for a forceful rule. His expectations for the royal family had become much stricter. The Qianyuan sect had always maintained friendly ties with the royal family, but they had no choice but to send disciples to accompany these royals on their trials each year. That said, the Qianyuan sect had produced many exceptional talents in recent years, some of whom he greatly admired, like Xie Tianyi, who led their team this time. At only 19, he was already well on his way. He'd even mastered the Qianyuan sword codex, something no one in the sect had been able to do for centuries. His talent was astonishing. It seems the Qianyuan sect will win this spring hunt. The old man thought. Just then, King Xiaoyao's voice broke his reverie. Master Mingxin, the hunt won't end for a while. Care for a game of chess? That the old man smiled. King Shaoyang, always the gentleman. I accept. They quickly set up the chessboard and sat opposite each other. King Shaoyang made the first move, his gaze fixed on the board as he spoke meaningfully. Master Mingxin brought Xietiani. You must be confident in winning the hunt. You flatter me, your majesty. The old man shook his head, non-committal. A rare smile touched King Xiaoyao's face. He added with a strange expression, I wonder what will happen when Xietiani faces my niece, Yan Qingyuan. Ming Xian froze, a chess piece hovering above the board. He reacted sharply. Yan Qingyuan? Are you talking about the demon princess who completed Qi training at 13, defeated an opponent at 15, and then was imprisoned in Qiming Palace for killing 38 spoiled nobles? She's here, too. Visibly shaken, Ming Xian murmured, why didn't I see her earlier? King Xiaoyang chuckled. Don't worry, Master Mingxin. My niece has been personally tutored by Emperor Yan for 3 years. Her murderous tendencies are gone. She's very docile now. She just blended in, so you didn't notice her. Docile, Mingxin thought bitterly, that which caused a storm in the capital. She was known as a heavenly killer for her bloodlust. Yet, none of her peers could match her talent. The emperor cherished her, and no one dared challenge her, even if they were stronger. 3 years ago, she was already powerful. Now, after 3 years of the emperor's personal training, what level had she reached? Xietiani, you must not provoke her. Holding the chess piece, Mingxin stared at the empty board, unsure how to proceed. Chapter 65. You are listening at novelfull.audio. In the thick mountain forest, wisps of mist drifted like spiderwebs, creating an eerie atmosphere. Guo Xiaotian's face was etched with regret. He was kicking himself for volunteering as a substitute and tracking that Nanling vulture. Hey, Guo Xiaotian said, trying to sound brave, maybe we should bail for now. Guo Shaoyang glanced at him, his expression calm. And your reasoning is, Guo Xiaotian pleaded, this spring hunt with the royal family and the Qianyuan sect? It's a death trap. Word is, every year some royal folks don't make it back. Let's just lay low. This place is way too risky. The vulture can't live in demonic Mist Mountain forever. It'll show its face eventually. Guo Shaoyang shook his head. I don't have that kind of time. Guo Xiaotian dug in his heels. Okay, how about we wait until the hunt's over? It's only a few days. Then we come back. I doubt the vulture will go far. Enough, Guo. No more arguing. You'd be doing us both a favor by activating the secret method and helping me find the vulture. And if things get hairy, I'll definitely have your back. Guo Shaoyang's tone was even, but there was no room for discussion. I know you're tough. Guo Xiaotian thought sourly. Even those Nanling double eagles were no match for you. But the royal family and the Qianyuan sect? They're not pushovers. The best of the best, geniuses among geniuses. They can all punch above their weight class. You're going to protect me? How? Guo Xiaotian cursed silently, but he knew he couldn't outmuscle Guo Shaoyang. He'd just have to pray the vulture stayed put long enough for them to catch it. A palm-sized yellow flag stood planted on the bank of a slow-moving stream. A handsome young man in white, with a gentle demeanor, emerged from the trees. Found it. He murmured to himself, spotting the flag. He hurried to the stream and reached for it. Just as he did, a monstrous crocodile materialized silently behind him in the creek. Its jaws snapped open, aiming for the back of his head, but before it could strike, the young man, as if he had eyes in the back of his head, drew his sword in a fluid motion. The blade pierced the crocodile's mouth, skewered its brain, and then withdrew. The creature's lifeless body splashed back into the creek, staining the water red. The young man stood, flag in hand, and glanced at the level 4 monster, powerful enough to reach the late stage of Juyuan, as if it were nothing. 6 flags left. With this one, I just need 3 more Qianyuan zone flags to win. He whispered to himself, then faded back into the forest. On a fog-shrouded hill, monster roars and the sounds of battle echoed through the dense undergrowth. Finally, the noise died down. 2 handsome young men in purple and gold python robes emerged. One held a small green flag, while the other dragged a tiger-like beast with 2 scorpion tails across its back. We got lucky. We found this one right away. But this 2-tailed scorpion tiger was a tough nut to crack. It took us a while to take it down. One of them said with a grin, the other jumped in with praise. Brother Yan Yang's strength is unreal. Adding 20% of the Imperial Dragon Fist power in the late Zhiyuan period. That scorpion tiger never stood a chance. Easy there, you did your part, he said. No need to be modest, Yan Yang. I bet you'll be in the top 3 in this spring hunt for sure. The whole royal family might be counting on you to win. Ha ha. The praised young man, clearly pleased, beamed with arrogance. Suddenly, the air seemed to drop a few degrees. Both young men snapped to attention. Who's there? Come out, you coward. Giggles. A tinkling laugh filled the air. A graceful figure emerged from the shadows. It was a girl in a lavish, golden-red dress. Her beautiful features held a hint of cruelty, an edge that made the 2 young men uneasy. You. They frowned, trying to place her. She had to be a royal, but they didn't recognize her. There was something familiar about her eyes, though. Then the young man named Yan Yang seemed to remember something. His face went white as a sheet, and he cried out, "It's you, you little devil. What are you doing out here?" The other man's face followed suit. His hand trembled so hard that he almost dropped the flag. I was bored, so naturally I came out to play. The girl's smile was bright and innocent, but to the 2 young men, she might as well have been the devil himself. Their expressions were ones of pure terror. A thick fog rolled in, filled with roars and screams that quickly faded away. The small green flag twirled casually in a pale hand. 2 bloody figures lay on the ground. Yan Yang felt himself growing colder, and he stared at the girl with a desperate gasp. Yan Qingyuan, you killed a member of the royal family. Aren't you afraid Emperor Yan will punish you? That the girl tilted her head, considering. To satisfy your own desires, you slaughtered 60 members of Master Li's family. Emperor Yan knows all about it. He gave me a list of names and said I could kill anyone I wanted to relieve my boredom. What a coincidence, your name was on it, brother Yan Yang. Well. Yan Yang's eyes widened. Blood spurted from his mouth, and he fell silent. The girl ignored the bodies, lifted her skirts with both hands, and skipped off into the mist, humming a song like any other carefree girl. Chapter 66. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 66. He's gotta be within 10 miles, but this guy's too slick. Even with my bloodline secret, pinpointing his exact location is a real pain. Guo Xiaotian opened his eyes, his brow furrowed. Can you get a general direction? Gu Shaoyang asked. That way. Guo Xiaotian pointed. Gu Shaoyang said flatly, let's move. Guo Xiaotian gritted his teeth and followed. They didn't run into anyone else. A few level 3 monsters popped up, but Gu Shaoyang dispatched them with a casual flick of his sword. This reassured Guo Xiaotian. Maybe they could actually take down the vulture and get what Gu Shaoyang needed before the spring hunters caught on. They headed southeast for about 15 minutes. Guo Xiaotian could feel the distance shrinking. A flicker of excitement ran through him. Suddenly, Gu Shaoyang stopped dead in his tracks. Guo Xiaotian was confused. Senior brother Gu, what's up? Gu Shaoyang shushed him, then froze completely. Guo Xiaotian blinked, then reached out. He watched in shock as Gu Shaoyang slowly faded away. It was a phantom. He's crazy fast. Guo Xiaotian gasped. Roar! A monstrous roar erupted. Guo Xiaotian whirled around. He saw Gu Shaoyang in midair, grappling with a giant python as thick as a barrel. Gu Shaoyang's slender fingers, like iron claws, were embedded in the python's vital spot, drawing blood and agonizing screams. Bloodthirsty python, level 4. Gu Xiaotian's eyes went wide. This thing, considered one of the most dangerous level 4 monsters, was like an earthworm in Gu Shaoyang's grip, unable to break free. Gu Shaoyang's face remained impassive as he swiftly drew his sword. The python's roars abruptly ceased, and its long, thick body fell to the ground in pieces. The level 4 monster was dead. Just like that. Gu Xiaotian was stunned. Gu Shaoyang landed, casually tore off a piece of his robe, and wiped the blood off his hands and sword. He looked as calm as if he'd kicked aside a pebble, not slain a ferocious beast. Huh. Gu Shaoyang's expression changed. He picked up a small purple flag lying next to the python's corpse. What's that? Gu Xiaotian's face turned ashen. He hurried over, urgently saying, Brother Gu, put that down. That's the Spring Hunter's target, from the Dacian royal family and the Qianyuan sect. If we take it, we're toast. Gu Shaoyang considered this and nodded slowly. Gu Xiaotian started to breathe a sigh of relief when the grass in front of them rustled, and 2 young men in purple robes, oozing nobility, stepped out. Gu Xiaotian's eyes narrowed. They're from the Dacian royal family. His worst fear realized. The 2 royals were equally surprised to see Gu Shaoyang and Gu Xiaotian. You're not Qianyuan sect disciples. Who are you? Drop the purple flag. Gu Xiaotian didn't wait for Gu Shaoyang to speak. He stepped forward, explaining quickly, we wandered into Yaowu Mountain by accident. We didn't know this flag was important to you. We'll leave it and be on our way. I see. The 2 royals nodded, but before Gu Xiaotian could relax, they grinned wickedly. No need to bother, we'll take it ourselves. Beating up those monster bears and tigers in the palace is getting old. I've been itching to try out some human flesh punching bags. The 2 men cracked their knuckles, their power as late-stage Jiyuan practitioners surging, eager for a fight. Gu Xiaotian paled. Please, calm down. Calm down when you're dead. One of the royal disciples laughed and threw a punch at Gu Xiaotian. Imperial Dragon Fist. Golden light flared, and a powerful fist, accompanied by a faint dragon's roar, came hurtling towards him. Suddenly, a pale fist intercepted it. The fists collided. Crack. A bone snapped, and the royal screamed, flying backwards like he'd been hammered by a level 4 monster. The other man's face went white. Before he could react, a figure appeared before him like a ghost. Bang! He spat blood and collapsed. I told you to calm down, Gu Xiaotian muttered, turning to Gu Shaoyang, who was expressionlessly retracting his fist. He looked at the 2 royals on the ground, their faces contorted with terror, and couldn't help but add, otherwise, my friend here gets grumpy. The more he got to know Gu Shaoyang, the more Gu Xiaotian felt he was a freak, a monster. Even though their cultivation levels were similar, Gu Shaoyang's strength was immeasurable. He'd never seen anything like it in his life. He still had no idea just how strong Gu Shaoyang really was. Gu Shaoyang stared at the 2 royals, now mostly incapacitated. With the power of the 3 elephants, anyone who dared to brawl with him was just asking for trouble. Several bubbles floated above them. Vitality *35, Root Bone *20, Comprehension *12, Dragon Chi *37. What was Dragon Chi? Gu Shaoyang had never seen that attribute before. He reached out and grabbed them. What are you doing? Killing royals means executing the 9 generations. The 2 men's expressions turned desperate as they shouted. Gu Shaoyang ignored them. He wasn't a citizen of the Dacian kingdom anyway. When he popped the bubbles, he felt a strange aura integrate into his body. It had to be the so-called Dragon Chi, but after a quick check, he didn't notice any changes. Huh! Gu Xiaotian suddenly exclaimed, staring at Gu Shaoyang. Senior brother Gu, do you feel like you suddenly became a lot more noble? It's weird. Chapter 67. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 67. Gu Shaoyang already had that fair and handsome look, like a privileged son. But after absorbing the dragon energy, it was even more pronounced. Dude. Gu Shaotian hesitated. What do we do with these guys? Gu Shaoyang said, cold as ice, leave him. The smell of blood will draw the monsters, and soon there won't be a trace left. The two guys on the ground looked up, sheer terror on their faces. Gu Shaotian looked like he might be sick, Gu Shaoyang didn't even blink. They came after him, they knew the stakes. He was actually doing them a favor by not getting his own hands dirty. He even lifted the spirit storage rings off them. These royal brats are loaded. In the 2 rings, Gu Shaoyang found a few hundred high-grade Yuan stones and a boatload of the mid- and low-grade stuff, plus 2 identical copies of Emperor's Dragon Fist. Gu Shaotian saw them and explained, it's a secret royal family technique, a mid-level earth skill. But only those with royal blood can even practice it. Nobody else could get it. Before he was even done talking, Gu Shaoyang closed the book, thought for a second, and then threw a punch. Roar! A pale gold, dragon-shaped fist shot out. Gu Shaotian's jaw dropped. The 2 royal family guys on the ground were staring like they'd seen a ghost. You. Bro, are you from the royal family? Gu Shaotian was floored. Gu Shaoyang didn't answer. He just packed up his stuff, grabbed the purple hunting flag, and told Gu Shaotian, let's move it. Catching up with that vulture is priority 1. Right. Gu Shaotian nodded, still reeling. Gu Shaoyang figured it had to be the dragon energy. The Emperor's Dragon Fist isn't about blood, it's about the Imperial Dragon's chi. The more Imperial Dragon chi you've got, the faster you pick up the technique and the harder you can hit. Only by sucking up the dragon energy from those 2 and having a freakish understanding was he able to get it down so quick. But where does the royal family get that dragon energy? Are some people just born that special? Gu Shaoyang was lost in thought when Gu Shaotian said, hey, the vulture stopped. He's less than 20 miles from us. We can catch him. Before Gu Shaoyang could even get his hopes up, Gu Shaotian yelped, no. His blood's fading fast, he's dying. Gu Shaoyang's face darkened. Let's go. Point 2 blurs shot off into the jungle. Elsewhere in Yawu Mountain, a disciple of the Qianyuan sect was handing a small blue flag to a handsome, gentle-looking young man in white robes. Senior Xie, we found this. The boy in white nodded. 2 more small flags, different colors, were already in his hand, making 3 total. There are 7 hunting flags in total, and I've got 3. 1 more, and Qianyuan's got this spring hunt in the bag. Heguang. Present. A Qianyuan sect disciple stepped forward. The young man in white said calmly, use the Tianji pan to find the other 4 flags. Yes, sir. The disciple pulled out a gray jade dish covered in complicated symbols. He closed his eyes, triggered the secret technique, and the dish started to glow faintly. Suddenly, Heguang's eyes snapped open. Senior Xie, the 4 flags are close. 3 of them are with the Dakian royal family, less than 20 miles away. And there's 1. He pointed. Coming right for us. The others perked up, grinning like they'd won the lottery. 3 flags apiece. Whoever grabs the 4th wins. And now, that 4th flag is practically being delivered to their doorstep. Is heaven on their side or what? The boy in white smiled slightly, nodding calmly. Good. We'll wait for him here. The Qianyuan sect members faced the direction Heguang had indicated, waiting quietly. Soon enough, there was a whooshing sound in the air. They brightened up, getting ready. The sound got closer, and the trees started shaking. The boom of air splitting roared in their ears like a monster. The Qianyuan sect disciples started to look nervous. Even the boy in white got serious. What is that? Finally, with a whoosh, 2 figures appeared in front of them. Heguang, trying to act tough, stepped forward and shouted, halt. Who goes there? Before he could finish, a cold voice snapped. Get lost. Heguang felt like he'd been hit by a level 4 monster. He coughed up blood and went flying backwards. There'll be another update tonight, which will go up tomorrow. Aiming for 3 updates during the day. Sneak peek coming. Chapter 68. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 68. The disciples of the Qianyuan sect stood there, dumbfounded. It wasn't until Huguang collapsed on the ground, seriously injured, that they finally noticed two figures emerging from the forest. One, dressed in purple, looked anxious. The other, in blue, was strikingly handsome and carried an aura of untouchable nobility. It was the latter who had just laid Huguang out with a single blow. Gu Shaoyang halted, his face like a thundercloud. Gu Shaotian glanced nervously at the Qianyuan disciples wielding swords, but his anxiety quickly gave way to urgency. Senior brother Gu, the vulture's life force is fading fast. I can barely sense his location anymore. Gu Shaoyang's eyes narrowed. Let's go. Gu Shaotian nodded quickly, but just then, a figure stepped in front of them. Hold it right there. Gu Shaoyang looked up at a handsome young man in white, gazing at them coolly. You can leave, but hand over the spring hunt flag first. Gu Shaoyang, preoccupied with the half of the sword tomb key on the vulture, frowned. Get out of my way. The young man in white's expression hardened as he thrust his sword straight at Gu Shaoyang. Gu Shaoyang drew his own cold blade, his powerful energy surging. He met the attack head-on. The young man's sword seemed ordinary, but it cut through Gu Shaoyang's defense with ease, continuing its path towards him. Facing the strike, Gu Shaoyang felt a strange, overwhelming sense of powerlessness. He twisted away, the sword of the boy in white narrowly missing his ear, slicing a strand of hair as it passed. Something's off. Gu Shaoyang felt a chill and abandoned his earlier contempt. Ha! The young man in white looked surprised, as if disappointed by the missed strike. Jietiani. You're Jietiani. Gu Shaotian suddenly pointed at the young man in white, screaming in horror. Gu Shaoyang frowned. Who's Jietiani? Gu Shaotian, his eyes filled with awe, solemnly replied, the Qianyuan sect's most formidable prodigy. They say he's mastered their supreme sword art, something no one's understood for centuries. He visited my Yuheng sect a year ago. Our top inner sect master was defeated in less than 3 moves. Hearing Yuheng sect, Jietiani studied Gu Shaotian before turning to Gu Shaoyang. I'll say it again, leave the spring hunt flag, and you can take him. The Qianyuan sect's top prodigy. Jietiani. Gu Shaoyang muttered the name. His temper flared. I don't care what kind of monster you are. I'll say it again, get out of my way. In a burst of energy, Gu Shaoyang channeled the might of sea clouds and solitary peaks. Golden light seemed to radiate from his blade. 30% Chuyang sword intent, unleashed. Golden crow devours the sun. A scorching wave of heat accompanied his sword, unleashing a tremendous force towards Jietiani. 30% sword intent. Not bad. Humph. Jietiani raised an eyebrow, a hint of surprise in his eyes, but he quickly sneered and met the attack. Gu Shaoyang felt that unsettling sensation again. The force of his sword was like a raging storm, while Jietiani was a lone boat amidst the waves. But no matter how high or fierce the waves crashed, they couldn't capsize Jietiani's little boat. Instead, Jietiani's sword felt like a relentless threat. It was as if no matter how he dodged, he couldn't escape the blow. Boom. Gu Shaoyang struck the flat of the blade just before it pierced his chest. The power of the 3 elephants erupted, barely deflecting it. Impressive. Jietiani's eyes shone with appreciation. You should be proud, you've withstood 2 of my strikes at your Jiyuan stage. But it's a pity. Jietiani sighed. The Qianyuan sword code is full of holes. Your sword intent is strong, but I see flaws everywhere. It's like a blank canvas. I see right through your moves. Jietiani stared intensely at Gu Shaoyang. You won't survive my next strike. Gu Shaoyang's face was dark, but he didn't respond. Gu Shaotian watched anxiously. He finally understood Gu Shaoyang's true power. 30% sword intent in the mid-Jiyuan stage. No wonder he cut down late-stage Jiyuan cultivators like it was nothing. He truly was a genius, but now he faced Jietiani, a monster among monsters, a genius among geniuses, and was destined to fall. Huguang, pale and supported by others from the Qianyuan sect, glared at Gu Shaoyang. "You bastard, try fighting my senior brother in your next life." That they all looked smug, as if victory was assured. Jia Tianyi smiled slightly, raising his sword. "Just hand over the spring hunt flag." This strike was unlike anything before. The sword glowed with white light, imbued with profound and mysterious energy. Even the onlookers felt awe and admiration. Under this sword, not only would Gu Shaoyang be helpless, but even a strong Ningxin realm cultivator might struggle to survive. Brother Jia, you're too powerful. Gu Shaoyang, who had been silent the entire time, suddenly raised his head. "How's the vulture?" Guo Shaotian was stunned, then realized what he meant. He grimaced. "I've completely lost contact." Gu Shaoyang took a deep breath, like a volcano about to erupt. He stared at Jia Tianyi, speaking slowly and deliberately. "I don't have time to play games. If you can break my sword, it means my sword is still too weak, so I'll make it stronger. You might poke through a blank canvas full of flaws, but you can't break through a wall full of flaws." Gu Shaoyang's boundless sword intent erupted, and he unleashed his cold blade like a lightning strike, shouting, "Twofold sword intent, sun and moon fall." That the next moment, everyone saw it, the rising sun and the fading moon. Chapter 69. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The second Gu Shaoyang drew his sword, Xia Tianyi's whole face went white. Like Gu Shaoyang said, a thin needle can pierce paper, but against a brick wall, even if you know where the cracks are, you're gonna get flattened. Under the sheer force of that sun and moon sinking attack, Xia Tianyi's expression twisted, his sword snapped, blood sprayed from his mouth, and he went flying. He finally crashed to a halt after taking out a few trees. His once pristine white robes were now ripped and covered in dirt. Clutching the broken hilt of his sword, blood trickled from the corners of Xia Tianyi's mouth. He'd never been so humiliated. He stared at Gu Shaoyang, shock and horror etched on his face, two different sword styles. And he's mastered them beyond 30%. Even though he always bragged about his genius, and everyone called him a prodigy or a freak, now all he wanted to do was scream, "No way, that how could anyone be this strong at the Jiyuan middle stage?" Everyone else was speechless. Qianyuan Sec's once-in-a-century prodigy, Xia Tianyi, and his unbeatable Qianyuan sword code, defeated? And by some dude at the Jiyuan middle stage? Heguang stared, jaw slack, at Gu Shaoyang. It felt like a dream. How could Xia Tianyi lose? The others looked at Gu Shaoyang with stunned disbelief. Guo Shaotian stood frozen, watching Gu Shaoyang calmly sheath his sword, his mind completely blank. What just happened? Who am I? Where am I? Did Xia Tianyi just get beat? Holy crap. You gonna stand there all day? Gu Shaoyang snapped at Guo Shaotian, "Let's go." Oh, right. Guo Shaotian blinked back to reality, his eyes wide as he looked at Gu Shaoyang. It was like standing next to a monster. He instinctively took a few steps back. Too scary. Better to keep my distance. The Qianyuan sect members watched Gu Shaoyang leave, no one daring to move or speak. They were still processing what they just witnessed. "Xia, are you okay?" Someone rushed to help Xia Tianyi, who was trembling. Xia Tianyi shook his head, indicating he was all right, but his brow was furrowed. "Who is that guy? The way he carries himself, he looks like he could be from the Dacian royal family, but those sword moves weren't familiar." For the first time, Xia Tianyi felt like he couldn't figure someone out. His usual confidence, the feeling that he had everything under control, was gone. Whatever. Xia Tianyi muttered to himself, whoever he is, if he enters Ningxin, someone with that kind of talent is bound to be one of the 9 kingdoms' hidden dragons. We'll meet again. I still don't understand the Qianyuan sword code well enough. Next time. A fierce light sparked in Xia Tianyi's eyes as he said, with steel in his voice, "I'll beat you." As Gu Shaoyang rode, he was replaying the fight in his head. Xia Tianyi was the toughest opponent he'd faced. His unpredictable Qianyuan sword code had been a real threat. He figured that even Song Qianyu, a new entrant to Ningxin, might not be able to beat him. In the 9 southern kingdoms, the great Yuan kingdom wasn't strong. For the first time, Gu Shaoyang truly understood there were countless geniuses and monsters in the world, but the fight wasn't a total loss. During the clash with Xie Tianyi, Gu Shaoyang absorbed some valuable attributes from him, most of it was whatever, but then there was the ridiculous boost to his comprehension, a full 50 points. Combined with the knowledge from Lei Lai's notes and the remaining sword intent on the Brahma sword tomb key, his mastery of the shadow sword style shot past 30%. In an instant, which sealed the deal during the fight, once I hit the late stage of Juyuan, that's where I'll be set, otherwise, he'd have to keep pulling out all the stops. A spark of determination flared in Gu Shaoyang's eyes. After what just happened, he needed to find somewhere to focus and get his cultivation up to the late Juyuan stage. We're here, Gu. Guo Xiaotian's voice broke through his thoughts. Gu Shaoyang stopped. Guo Xiaotian, looking at him with awe, said respectfully, last time I sensed the vulture, it was around here. Gu Shaoyang nodded, glancing around, then suddenly his eyes snapped to something. He hurried over to a patch of grass. There were bloodstains on the blades. A few steps away, a corpse lay on the ground. It was the vulture's body. He'd died horribly, practically flayed, eyes wide with the terror and despair of his last moments. Gu Shaoyang's heart sank. Who killed the vulture? But then he saw the spirit storage ring on the vulture's hand, and his attention shifted. The killer hadn't taken the vulture's ring, which was weird. He opened it. Inside, lying quietly, was the other half of the sword tomb key. Relief washed over Gu Shaoyang's face as he smiled. Suddenly, an intense wave of killing intent exploded beside him. Gu Shaoyang spun around, second-level dragon capturing strength, 3 elephants unleashed. Gu Shaoyang's fist collided with a soft, white hand, silently. Then, an earth-shattering shock wave ripped through the air. Gu Shaoyang was thrown back and reappeared 10 meters from the vulture's body. He looked, for the first time, like he was in real trouble. The instant he'd made contact with the attacker, he felt an overwhelming surge of energy that sent his blood boiling. Ningxuan realm. And not just your run-of-the-mill entry level at that, the attributes he absorbed at the moment of impact confirmed it. Comprehension *36, Root *25, Yuanli *1345. And, Gu Shaoyang's eyes widened as he noticed another attribute that hadn't yet been integrated, killing intent *2367. Just then, a crisp voice rang out from behind the grass. Huh, a beautiful girl in a fancy dress walked out, looking confused. Chapter 70. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The moment he saw the girl, Guo Xiaotian, who was standing next to Gu Shaoyang, looked like he'd seen a ghost. His face went white, and he trembled uncontrollably, even more terrified than when he'd seen Xie Tianyi. Why you're... Guo Xiaotian blurted out, Yan Qingyuan, the witch. He clamped his mouth shut, wanting to bolt. The girl in the palace dress glanced at Guo Xiaotian, who immediately hid behind Gu Shaoyang. Gu Shaoyang, his face grim, asked in a low voice, who is Yan Qingyuan? She. Guo Xiaotian started to answer, then the girl's eyes silenced him. He just shook his head. I don't know. I just heard she was in the late Juyuan stage 3 years ago. Gu Shaoyang took a deep breath. Late Juyuan stage 3 years ago. 3 years later, judging by monster standards, Yan Qingyuan's power had to be at least in the mid-Ningxuan stage, maybe higher. Thinking of the power of the 3 elephants and her palms just now, his blood surged. While she seemed unfazed, Gu Shaoyang had to admit he was outmatched. While his fundamentals were extraordinary, his rise had been too quick. He was still way behind the truly gifted disciples. Gu Shaoyang discreetly produced several high-grade Yuan stones in his hand. He had no choice but to take a gamble, run, or try to break through to the late Juyuan stage. With both swords drawn, he might be able to take on Yan Qingyuan. Yan Qingyuan clearly noticed Gu Shaoyang's movements, but ignored them. Instead, she sized him up with curious eyes and said softly, "That's weird. I was really in the mood for a fight just now. Why don't I suddenly want to kill anyone now that I see you?" Hearing the girl's innocent, crisp voice, Gu Shaoyang shuddered, thinking about her massive murderous aura. The vulture must have died by her hand, as beautiful as an orchid in an empty valley, but with methods so cruel. Gu Shaoyang's solemn expression deepened. However, an idea sparked in Gu Shaoyang's mind. Maybe He didn't need to fight her head-on. Gu Shaoyang took a deep breath, his eyes hardening. He seemed to have made a decision. He suddenly jumped forward, heading straight for Yan Qingyuan. Senior brother Gu Xiaotian was frantic, stomping his feet and wanting to pull Gu Shaoyang back. Gu Shaoyang was a monster, a genius. He was the only one like him Gu Xiaotian had ever seen. He'd even defeated Jie Tianyi, but he was facing Yan Qingyuan. Confusion and hesitation flashed across Gu Xiaotian's face. He hardened his heart and shouted, "Senior brother Gu, come back. Yan Qingyuan is Emperor Yan's favorite daughter, a demon who kills without batting an eye. You can't mess with her." Yan Qingyuan's pretty face turned cold. "I was going to let you go, since you didn't matter. But you want to join in? I've only killed 6 people today. You'll be number 7. Gu Shaoyang's expression didn't change as he threw a punch. Second level of dragon capturing strength, the power of 3 images. Yan Qingyuan's delicate hands firmly caught Gu Shaoyang's punch, which was strong enough to shatter stone. But an expression of confusion crossed her face again. Extraction, murderous intent *234. Gu Shaoyang attacked again. The power of 3 images. Extraction, murderous intent *134. The confusion on Yan Qingyuan's face deepened, so much so that she actually retreated step by step under Gu Shaoyang's relentless attacks, as if she didn't want to fight him at all. Finally, Yan Qingyuan frowned slightly, and a burst of terrifying Yuan power exploded from her body, sending Gu Shaoyang flying. "Go away! Go away!" Yan Qingyuan's face crumpled. She pouted and shouted angrily, "You're so annoying. Why don't I want to kill you, even though you keep hitting me? Why?" Gu Shaoyang landed firmly on the ground, greatly relieved. His guess had been right. Yan Qingyuan's murderous aura was much higher than that of ordinary people, but after he absorbed the murderous intent in him, her murderous intent couldn't grow as fast as he could absorb it, and Yan Qingyuan soon got tired of fighting. Gu Xiaotian was completely stunned. The shock in his heart was even greater than when Gu Shaoyang had overpowered Jie Tianyi. This. Gu Xiaotian gaped, speechless. He couldn't understand why Gu Shaoyang was provoking Yan Qingyuan in every way possible, but she was acting like she was letting him get away with it. Wasn't she the legendary manslaughtering princess? Had he mistaken her for someone else? Ugh, I can't figure it out. It's so annoying. Yan Qingyuan shook her head angrily and threw the 3 small flags in her hands to the ground. What a spring hunt. It's no fun at all. Yan Qingyuan grabbed the hem of her palace dress, kicked a massive tree to pieces, turned around, and stalked off. Before leaving, she glared at Gu Shaoyang. Gu Xiaotian looked at the 3 small flags lying quietly on the ground, his expression a mixture of confusion. "Brother Gu." Gu Xiaotian turned his head. Gu Shaoyang said in a low voice, "Let's go." With the key to the sword tomb in hand, their trip was complete. Gu Shaoyang headed straight for the exit of Yawu Mountain, with Gu Xiaotian, eager to get home, right behind him. Gu Xiaotian was mainly spooked. This whole thing was enough to give him nightmares for a month. As they were about to leave Yawu Mountain, they saw a gorgeous gold and red palace dress waiting for them at the edge of the forest. Whoa! Gu Xiaotian sucked in a breath, his face grim. He'd known that this demon wouldn't give up so easily. Gu Shaoyang slowly stopped.